welcome or welcome back. How are you all doing? I'm curious. So, I am going to do my wrap up for the month of March since it's now the 3rd of April, and I'm hoping I can post this video today too. Not sure if I will, but I am pretty sure that I will be able to post it today. Anyways, I'm gonna do my wrap up for March, the books that I read in March, and I hope you're excited because I certainly am. I read 17 books in March. I also DNF'd some, but I'm not going to add those because I do not feel like I fully completed those, obviously, so I'm not going to show those, but I can show you now, like, one of them, like, an example. I did not finish the Atlas 6. I think this is the only one. I did not enjoy this. Yeah. So now we can actually start with showing the books that I finished in the month of March of 2023. Yay. Ow. The first book that I read was actually not a physical book. It was an ebook, and it was Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is the third book in the Chestnut Springs series. The fourth book is coming out this year, I think, and I'm very, very excited for that because I enjoyed the crap out of the rest of the series, but this book in particular, I did not really enjoy personally. I gave it 3.5 stars. Like like that is just fine. That is a pretty good rating actually. But I just mildly enjoyed it. Like, some things were sitting wrong with me. Like, something I didn't completely understand. This book felt like a fever dream, as I wrote in my review. I was just reading it, and I completely skimmed over the conflict that was happening, too. Like, I thought the conflict wasn't really a conflict. It was just a little bit confusing for me, and I didn't really like the love interest, too, so that was, like, I enjoyed the love interest in the other books. In the other two books that had come previously, before this one, the third book in the series comes along. But I did not like him a lot in this book, so that was very confusing. I felt very conflicted about it, but I decided to give it 3.5 stars because it was still a fine book. I really enjoyed the writing style. I really enjoyed my time reading it. I still read it in one day, so that does mean that I enjoyed it, but not as much as I did the rest of the series, which I gave 4 stars each book. I gave each book of that series previously 4 stars, so. Also, I do not remember what it was about this book. Like, I completely forgot. Like, I know that the love interest / main character was kind of like a hockey, he was a hockey player, ice hockey player, but the story didn't revolve around the ice hockey, so I wouldn't recommend it as a sports romance. I would just recommend it as a small town romance. That was it for that book. The next book that I read, I actually cannot tell you a lot about it because it is the second book in a series. The third book in the series is arriving today, actually, because I ordered it, obviously, because I am just too excited to finish the series, like, too excited to remain reading the series. So, yeah, the second book in the series is The Runaway... Ooh, lighting is very bad with this book. The Runaway King by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This is a series, like, I think it is a middle grade series about... It's very interesting, actually. So the first book, I'm going to tell you what the first book is about. The first book is about a man trying to find some children who, like, kind of look like the prince, who is dead. So the prince has kind of stood up from the dead, like he wasn't dead after all. So he picks up some children. That sounds really very wrong, which is kind of is. And he's going to let them compete against each other for him to see who is the best fake prince, actually. So that is basically the story behind it all. And then there's Jaren, our main character, and he is also picked from the street where he lives to, like, compete against the other guys, against the other boys. So that is basically the story. And then this is where it continues, The Runaway King, because who knows? The title does make sense if you read this book, but I didn't understand the title before I read this book. But now I completely understand the title. The next book that I read was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I had very low expectations for this one. I actually posted a reading vlog on it too, so if you want to watch that, check it out. I was very conflicted about this one. Like, I was like, should I read it? Should I not read it? Like, I bought it, so I should read it, probably. But I ended up reading it anyways. I was very scared, as you could see in that video. I was being very dramatic, but it ended up being actually a pretty good book. I think I gave it 4 stars. Yeah, I gave 4 stars, so that isn't all that bad. I think now that I think about it, it could have been a 3.75 stars too, because this book also felt like a fever dream to me. Because the writing style, sometimes a writing style just doesn't connect with me, but the story does. So this writing style just wasn't my thing. Like Lee Bardugo's writing style just isn't really my thing. Like I read other books by her, and it was never my thing. But the story really, really connected to me, and I really enjoyed that story. So 4 stars for this one. Then I read 2 ebooks. I'm gonna talk about the first one first, obviously. So that was Just My Type of Felon Bernard. Bernard? Felon Bellard. So I have my laptop right here to check out the ratings. I gave this one 3 stars. And I was pretty disappointed because the story could have been so good, but it felt like it was dragging somehow. Like, I have some romance, I feel like there's zero plot and just pure vibes. And sometimes that goes well, other times it doesn't seem to go well. And this was one of those times where I was like, yeah, this is not going well. So I gave 3 stars. It's still a fine rating, but it took me so long to read. I think I started it at the beginning of March, and I finished it. Let me see. I finished it on the 16th of March. So that took me 16 days, maybe even longer, to read. So that isn't very good, is it? So this book, it deals with addiction, which isn't really a trigger to me personally because I haven't met someone who has an addiction, or it deals with drug addiction and alcohol addiction, I think. But then there was the trigger self-harm, which was really triggering to me. So yeah. So I really had to take my time reading it, and I didn't really like enjoy it that much before that, but when I got to the, let's say, halfway mark, I started enjoying it a bit more than I did before the halfway mark. So that was good. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, so it's not that bad, but it wasn't like my favorite book either, obviously. This book I actually waited pretty long to read, and I regret it so much because, why did I say much like that? I regret it a lot because it was very enjoyable, and I heard bad things about it, so I was very skeptical about it, but it turned out to be very good. Radiant Sin by Katie Robert, the 4th book in the Dark Olympus series. So this is the 4th book in the Dark Olympus series. It follows Apollo and Cassandra. Cassandra wants to leave town. Apollo doesn't want her to leave town because he's kind of in love with her, you know? But he's also her boss. So that's cool, I guess. So yeah. Now they have to go to enable for Cassandra to be able to leave town. Apollo takes her to something like some event or something like that, and there are some strange things start to happen. And she gets money out of it. Like if she finishes the event, like if she stays there for the few days that they have to stay there, she'll get the money to be able to leave town. I extremely enjoyed this book. This is my second favorite book in the series. My favorite is Neon Gauze, the first book, but this is the 4th book, and I enjoyed this one like quite similar to this first book in the series. My least favorite is Wicked Beauty because I didn't connect to that at all, but I really enjoyed this book. So yeah, I would read it if I were you, but you should read the rest of the series too. Okay, next up, I read Guild by Raven Kennedy, but I also read, not right after right after I read Guild, but I also read Glint, also by Raven Kennedy, the 2nd book in the series. So this is a 5-book series. The 5th book isn't out yet though. So yeah, I have read these. I've actually been reading Gleam since yesterday, and it's really, really good. That is the 3rd book in the series, and I cannot wait to start the 4th book, which I already own. So Guild. I'm gonna talk to you about Guild because I cannot spoil you Glint, but I thought Glint was like story-wise better than Guild, but plot-wise too. But like writing style-wise, I really enjoyed Guild more. So Guild is the story of King Midas. It's a reimagining, so not a retelling, it's a reimagining. It takes aspect of the real story of King Midas and then turns it around, makes it their own story. So yeah, this is about King Midas. He has turned his girl into gold, because King Midas has a touch. If he touches something, things turn into gold. So he has turned his precious into gold. But the thing is, he wants to keep her safe, so he keeps her in this gilded cage that is made of gold. And a gilded cage is still a cage, so what is that all about? Plot-wise, this didn't have a lot of plot, but I really enjoyed the experience. So yeah, that is all I have to say about this one. And then Glint, we got to meet some new characters. We got to make some new friends in this book. And it was just a really, 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 really good experience for me. Like, I really enjoyed these, like, a lot. Also, read this book in one morning. Peace. Okay, so the next book is a Dutch book, actually, because I am Dutch and I had to read a Dutch book for school, so I decided on this one, Escape Room by Marin Stoffels. I'm not sure if I should do this review in the Dutch language. This is basically about it. I'm not going to do that, because that means less watchers. Because most of my watchers are English or, like, American or something like that. So, anyways, this book is about an escape room, but this escape room isn't like, it is set for these people, specifically for these people, but will they leave the escape room? Because this person that keeps them in the escape room, the creator of the escape room, maybe doesn't want them to leave. Maybe she wants them to suffer like she suffered. It sounded very interesting, but some things didn't connect, some things didn't make sense in the end, and some things were left open that I felt like should be left closed. So I give 3 stars. Like, it was an okay book, but it wasn't, like, very special or something like that. Also, this was a short story, so it was, like, 130 pages, so it was very easy to read. But I felt like there could be more if it had been longer. I also read The Losers by Harley LaRue. This is the first book in a duet. So it's a duology. It's... How can I explain it? It is, I thought this would be a pure smut, no plot situation going on, but I felt like there was plot too. Like, there was a lot of smut, like, a lot of it, but there was also some plot, so I really enjoyed that. Fun story. This is, like, a lot of smut, obviously. Like I said, my new therapist, I was, like, reading this book, and I put it on her desk, because I was sitting at her desk. She was like, "Oh, what are you reading?" I'm like, yeah, a book. Like, I'm not sure what it is about. Like, yeah, I'm not sure what it is about, though. Like, no, yeah, that was awkward. I hope she doesn't see this. So, yeah, I ended up giving this one 4 stars, which I didn't really expect, because I read The Dare by Harley LaRue, which is the prequel story to this one, to this duet. And I didn't enjoy that, but I really enjoyed this one, so I'm glad I enjoyed that one. Oh, I should mention, though, I didn't give a single book 5 stars this month. I haven't given a single book 5 stars since December, though. That was Binding 13. Binding 13, my babe. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about Darling Venom. This was this was almost 5 stars, Like, do you know that feeling when you get when you read a 5-star read? I had that feeling at the beginning of this book. But after I got, like say 300 pages in, I was getting a bit more bored. It felt more like a 3.5-star read instead of, like, a 5-star read, and I was really disappointed. So I rounded this up to 4 stars, because I felt like this could be very highly rated for me personally, but it just wasn't. I really enjoyed the story, though, and I thought that this would be very toxic. There would be a lot of toxic things going on, but I felt like those were not there. I felt like the relationship also wasn't, like, it was mildly toxic, but who cares? We don't care. It is a brother's best friend romance, and the brother in this case has killed himself. So that makes for an awkward situation, a lot of guilt going on. I will not go into the depth of it. You can look it up yourself, but it was a very good book, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who isn't triggered by suicide and stuff. I read a cutesy little romance, and sometimes you just need to read a cutesy little romance, So I read Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is her newest release by Tessa Bailey, the newest release by Tessa Bailey. I have read almost all Tessa Bailey books, I think. I've actually also listened to one, like an audiobook that is only on audio. I've listened to that one too. Did not finish it though. Audiobooks are not for me, like not my thing. This is a romance, but they have a past. So I really like romances where they have a past, but this was kind of awkward because I felt like this guy was autistic. That was awkward. I'm autistic too, so that was cool. But it felt like a little bit awkward because what she remembered about their time being together, he didn't remember. He didn't even remember Hallie, the main character, in the story. So that made for some awkward situation, didn't it? But it was still a good book. Like, it was funny how she was like, oh, you should remember me. Like, how will you not remember me? But he was like, do I know you? Have I met you before? And then eventually he does find out who she is. And then Hallie also writes secret admirer letters to him, but he doesn't know who writes his secret admirer letters. Well, he's also slowly falling in love with Hallie. But there's also someone writing secret admirer letters to him who is also Hallie. That just made for a good situation. Like, it was fun. It was fun. I like, a lot of people were very negative about this, but I really enjoyed this. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. Next up, I read A Vows of Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmerer. This is the 3rd book in the trilogy, so it's the last installment in the trilogy. And wow, this could have been a 5-star read for me if I had read this a while back before, you know. Because I read Curse of Dark and Lonely like 2 years ago, maybe a little less than 2 years ago. And I really, really enjoyed that. I gave it 5 stars. And then A Hearts of Fierce and Broken, I gave 4 stars, which is the 2nd installment in this series, because I didn't really enjoy that. But this book could have been 5 stars for me, personally, because I just really enjoyed this. And this is supposed to be the least favorite book of everyone in the series. So, that is surprising to me. I cannot tell you what this is about. The Curse of Dark and Lonely is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And I really enjoyed that. Like, some aspects of it were kind of confusing, but I really enjoyed that. And then, I'm not sure what retelling this is. I think it's a retelling because it did give up some retelling vibes, but I'm not sure what retelling it was. Like, maybe Snow White or something like that. Something in that direction. I wasn't sure what to rate this book, but I ended up giving it a 4-star rating because I did really enjoy it. But I didn't completely understand all of the things because it has been a while since I read the 2nd book, which has been over a year already. So yeah, it's not weird that I do not remember all things that were explained in this. This book, you guys, I did not expect to like it this much. As I said, I haven't given a single book since December 5 stars, so this obviously won't be like a 5-star rating. I didn't rate this anything because I was so conflicted about what my rating should be. Like, I felt like 4 stars wasn't good for this book. Like, it was too high. But I also felt like 3.75 was too low for this book. So I wasn't sure what to rate this. But I think if I would have read this slower, not in one day, I could have given this book 4 stars or even higher than 4 stars. But again, I read very fast sometimes, and I read this one day. So this is about Elspeth, I think, Elspeth, something like that. And she got the flu. But in this country, when you get the flu, you inherit some magic. And you were not allowed to have magic, so everyone who has got the flu has to be killed. But Elspeth hasn't been killed, and people think that she doesn't have magic, but actually she has an evil spirit living in her head. And an evil spirit is someone who has a backstory. And that was so amazing. I really enjoyed that. But I do not remember this book at all. I will only remember the plot and stuff. But the plot was really good. Next up, well, not next, how do we explain this? I started this book, Heart of the Raven Prince, the 2nd of March, and I finished it the 26th of March. So it took me a while to get into it, you know, like, not to get into, because it was a very good story, but it took me a while to finish. Because I tabbed it, I annotated it. Look at that. I annotated it a lot. And I figured that annotating slows me down with reading. So I don't really enjoy annotating anymore. Like I used to, but it takes a long while to really annotate. Like write a book. Like look at this. I wrote so much. And it just took me like 2 minutes to finish one page, and I didn't like that because usually it only takes me half a minute to finish one page. But it was still a good book. This is like a Cinderella retelling. The second book in the series. The first book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Did enjoy the first book better plot wise, but like this book was also very good. We have 2 books left. So the first one is Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. This is a second chance romance. They had a romance going on when they were teenagers, when they were 17 and 18, I think. And 17 and 17, and eventually the guy turned 18 when she wasn't yet 18. So now he is a Hollywood actor. Like he's very famous and all that. And she's just a single mom because they got a child together. But he does know about the child. He just had a lot of struggling with addiction and stuff, so he never took care of the child. But one day, he decides, I'm gonna change things. So eventually, he goes back to the single mom, who is named Kennedy, and he decides, I want to reconnect with you, and I want to see if we can, like, create a relationship between me and my daughter. And it's heavy at some points, but it's also very cute, and I had me squealing at points. I gave this 4 stars. The last book is Reread, which I've also made a video about. Go figure. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This was good, I guess. But the point is, I gave this 5 stars the first time I read it. But now that I read it for the second time, I give it 3.75 stars. Oh, it just felt very slow. It dragged a lot, and I did not enjoy that. I tried to annotate it, but I stopped around halfway through because I just didn't want to annotate anymore. Just wanted to experience the experience. So this is about favorite, and this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling also. It's more like a reimagining in my opinion, but it's supposed to be retelling. So this is my favorite. And Favorite gets taken by this beast because she killed a fairy who she thought was a wolf. So she gets taken by the High Fae Lord. Tamlin. Will there develop some romance or something like that? Yes. Second book in the series is better. I really hope it is though. Because plot-wise, it was better. Romance-wise, it was way better. But this book, also, I gave that one 5 stars, and I really contemplated on giving the second book 4.5 stars. So, what does that say about me? Well, those are all the books that I wanted to talk to you about. I'm going to pick up the stack now. These were the books. This is heavy. But I really enjoyed making this video, actually. Like, I enjoyed talking. Oh, fuck. I enjoy talking about these books. I really enjoy making wrap-ups. So I hope you enjoyed watching this too. I hope I'm going to see you again in my other videos. And all I have to say for now is goodbye. And see y'all later. So bye-bye.